Napoli fans around the world, welcome to Napoli Talk. Do let me know if everything is working fine, the microphone, everything else. What a goal by Petagna. What a goal by Petagna, guys. It was... I'm still not over it, guys. You will see that there's not a lot of analysis in today's game. Just simply for the fact that I am still in shock about what I just saw, and it is very, very hard to analyze a game when that happens. I was just updating my Instagram just now, so make sure you are following official Napoli Talk on Instagram. I had to post a meme about Petagna's goal before I went live. I just couldn't resist. It's been the only thing on my mind in the last hour. So yeah, that's. I mean, I could just end it. I could just end the live there. Just say Petagna scored a bicycle kick. I mean, what could you? What else can I add to this live stream? Petagna scored a bicycle kick, guys. There's everything I will say from now on just has no more meaning. I don't really know what's real anymore after that. So honestly, I'm speechless still. It's been an hour. I still don't know how I'm supposed to take that. I mean, anything is possible at this point. I've never seen a bicycle kick as majestic as that. Just beautiful. Just beautiful. Let's go take a look at some of the comments. Daniel Bowen is saying, very curious to see what Dom has to say about that ramifications of Insigne groin injury. Ooh, Daniel, I intend to make a video about Lorenzo Insigne. I think I said it in the other live before. I was supposed to do it yesterday. Didn't get a chance to do it, so I do want to make a video tomorrow about it, which is good because we don't play until Thursday, which means I've got a bit of time to make a good video about Lorenzo Insigne. So I think I'll just save that bit of the analysis for that video and not talk about it too much this time around. He continues saying that was close, even though statistically dominated. Yeah, I mean, I don't think Samp really had any real chance to level the game, but I think Napoli was in complete control. 1-0 is still a bit tight. We are a team that struggles nowadays to score several goals. So yeah, I mean, it's important though that we did get this one goal. We broke a 3 consecutive loss streak at home, which is very important. And yeah, I think now moving forward, we need to start scoring more than 1 goal per game, because that's kind of been our average really since October. We've not really had that many games where we've scored more than 1 goal. Maybe just 2. Maybe just against Atalanta and Inter we've managed to score 2 goals. Other than that, not really. We've only either gone 0 or 1. We're like bits. It's either 1 or 0, which is not ideal. But the defense is doing well. Defense, even without Koulibaly all these weeks, they've still sort of, kept it relatively good at the back. I mean, yeah, we did lose a few games. We did get a few goals against us while Koulibaly was away, but none of those goals, I think, would have are because of the defense not behaving properly. They've been quite unlucky. Like the one against Spezia as an own goal, the one against Empoli, the guy got hit in the back of the head with the ball and then it went in. So it's been those type of goals. The one against Juve was a deflected shot. So the defense has been doing really, really well, which is good. Aaron M is saying Roma 1, Juve 0. Let's check what Roma and Juve are doing right now. So yes, Tammy Abraham is already on the score sheet for Roma. It's 1-0. So the table now sees, if it stays like that, it sees Roma go level on points with Juve in 5th spot at 35, and Napoli have moved up to 43 points. So that would be an 8-point gap to 5th place, which is crucial for Champions League, and we are 5 points away from Milan, who are sitting right now in first. Obviously, Inter have got a game against Bologna to play and a game later tonight to play as well. So, it's still games that they've got to go out and win. We're still 3 points behind, though, potentially 9. So we're sort of like exactly in the middle between first spot and fifth spot, which is honestly not too bad, considering that we've got so many injuries. However, Juventus have just scored. Paulo Dybala with a goal, so that should be a cracking game of football. Pranev Jain is saying, great performance by Petagna. Mertens dives do help us distract the defender. Elmas wasn't the best, though. I don't think Mertens was a dive. I think it should have been a penalty if it wasn't, if Petagna wasn't there. IDBit is saying, don't know what everyone else feels, but I feel every player in our squad has been consistently improving under Spalletti. From Malqui to Gulam to Elmas to Juan Jesus to Rahmani to Loborca to Petagna. I'd like to go further than that and say I feel like every single player in this team has contributed significantly. Whether your name is Demme, Juan Jesus, Elmas, a main man like Osimhen, I feel like everyone in this team who was in that 25-man squad at the start of the season has contributed. Maybe the only person that hasn't really contributed, the only two people that haven't really contributed as much have been Meret, who's, I guess, disappointed the fact that he's not been able to challenge Ospina enough to get minutes, and whenever he did get minutes, hasn't been too comfortable on the field. And then the other one is Zanoli, but he's young. He's basically a youth team player, even though he's regularly training with the team. But all 24, 23 other players, I feel like we've seen enough of them this year. They've all had really good games at times, and they've all had games where they've been the most impressive on the field. Even a player like Demme, you have to remember that he had an injury at the start of the season, missed a lot of preseason. That says a lot. And he still comes in and puts in a shift whenever he's playing, and today he was fantastic. There's other players like Politano and Lozano who some will say have disappointed, but again, they've scored some really important goals. For example, Lozano scored against Fiorentina in a game that we won 2-1. He scored the winning goal there. So they've all contributed one way or another. I'm not saying that they're perfect. I'm just saying they've all had their moments, and I don't think every team can say that about their players. I think there's some teams that some players have had zero impact, whereas I think for us, everyone's had a impact. And just going back to that Lozano thing, I mean, we did criticize him a bit at the start of the season, and he's still out for COVID and stuff like that, but let's all remember that we've got 6 more months left to go. Maybe the fact that Insigne is leaving, that being confirmed, that gives him an extra motivation to step up his performances, because naturally he's the internal replacement for Insigne. Not only that, but he did miss preseason because of the injury that he got with the Mexico national team, where he kind of risked his career over there. So it was always going to be a tough season for him, but hopefully, he can use the fact that Insigne is leaving as motivation, and potentially if he comes back from COVID relatively soon, which I think he should do by now, and Insigne is out for, let's say, a month because of his groin injury, then we might get to see Lozano consistently on the left, and we could be able to judge him with consistent game time on the wing that he prefers. So that's something to look forward to. Other people might not look forward to Lozano back on the field, but we'll see how that goes. Nicholas Wilger saying, didn't expect that level of acrobatics from Petagna. Was it Samp who wanted Petagna on loan in the summer, says V.H. Yes, it actually was Sampdoria who wanted Petagna, and Petagna, he goes and he scores against Genoa. So he went and scored in Genoa, which is where Sampdoria plays, right before the transfer window ended. And then Now he scores against Sampdoria, so he clearly has a thing for scoring against teams that are from Genoa, which is interesting. Maybe he'd be like, I don't know, the top Italy goal scorer if he was playing for either of those two teams, because apparently when Genoa is involved as a city at all, then Petagna steps up. Shmuel is saying, acrobatic goal aside, Petagna could be a good midfielder. He's a good passer and dribbler, and he's hardworking and physical. I've never seen him lose possession. I wouldn't say he's a good midfielder. I mean, he's not got the stamina to be a midfielder, let's be honest. But he is a very, very capable number 9 in terms of holding the ball up and, as you say, distributing the pass. I mean, there's no reason to put him back down to midfield. He is in a good position over there. Obviously, if you rely on Petagna for goals, that's not really his role. That's why you have players like Mertens playing alongside him. And we've said this time and time again on this channel that we need to have a player like Mertens or a player like Osimhen playing alongside Petagna, because Petagna's the one that can hold the ball, but then it's the other guys that need to do the scoring. It just so happened that today Petagna did the scoring, but generally speaking, it will be the other players, and then Petagna's the one that attracts defenders to him because he's so big and because he's so good on the ball. But yeah, I mean, I'm super glad that Spalletti played them both. I think that was the winning strategy, and we saw Petagna, have one of his best games, but he had a really good game against Milan as well. Guys, go ahead and do smash the like button. Once we get a few more smashes going, then we'll start the analysis of the game with all the slides. I mean, you guys know what we do on this channel: player ratings, match analysis. There's over 2,000 of you guys now that are subscribed to the channel, so make sure, if you're not one of those 2,000 people, that you make better choices in your life and you do subscribe to the channel, but also that you are smashing the like button. It really helps the channel out, guys, and it does contribute to charity a little bit. Kai Juntam is saying, do you think Insigne and Mertens' legacy will match Hamsik's when they leave the club? I think Mertens has a much bigger legacy. Mertens, the only person in Napoli history who has a bigger legacy than Mertens is Diego Armando Maradona, and there's going to be absolutely no one in the history of football that will ever have more of a legacy than Diego Armando Maradona at Napoli. I think, the only player that even comes close to the level of Maradona in terms of legacy is maybe Messi with Barcelona. But yeah, it's Maradona, Mertens, and then I would say Insigne and Hamsik are below Mertens. Between the two, I think Hamsik will have a bigger legacy than Insigne. This is personally my opinion. I think Hamsik was a captain for a bit longer, and Hamsik was coming into a period where Napoli was really they were rebuilding, and it was the first time that sort of Napoli, got things going again. Whereas Insigne kind of just picked up the baton from Hamsik, and there's been a lot of controversy / hate / misunderstandings when it's come to Insigne that we didn't have with Hamsik. Hamsik, obviously he left as well, but the circumstances of him leaving are different. They were different than what it is for Insigne, and there was a lot less friction between Hamsik and the fans as opposed to Insigne and the fans during their time. So I personally think Hamsik is going to have a bigger legacy than Insigne, but only time will tell. They are different though. Insigne will be the one that's maybe like the most successful Neapolitan at Napoli. That's for sure. So far. Well, successful, you can argue that. I mean, you could say, there's other players like, I don't know, Ferrara that have won, the Europa League. So, yeah, it's debatable. It's debatable. My personal preference is Hamsik, though. But that's just me. Mean is saying, hope restores. Players returning from injury and COVID, and the top isn't that far away right now. And Roma leads. Well, now it's 1-1. However, what do you think of Axel, says Michael Simi. I think Axel is a strong defender. He's got, a real presence in the box, and we saw a bit of that today. There was a late cross that came in, and he dealt with it quite well. Obviously, it's not really enough for me to give him a rating, because I don't think one intervention in a 5-minute appearance is enough to give a score on a player. But I think he can improve a lot under Spalletti. We saw players like Rahmani improve a lot under Spalletti. We saw players like Juan Jesus go completely anonymous with other coaches, but then do really, really well with Spalletti. So I think any central defender has the potential to step up his game with Spalletti. We also see that with Koulibaly. Koulibaly is having a much better, or started to have a much better season than he was under previous coaches. He hadn't had this good of a season since Sarri. So I think Axel has all the physical qualities that you need as a defender, and it's just down to him now. Is he gonna, focus and put in the work and put in a shift every day in training? If he is, then I think he's got potential. Having said that, I'm not going to give him a rating for today's game because he only played 5 minutes, and you'll see that in the player ratings. And I guess it will take maybe a few weeks for him to really adapt to the new style of football. Vincenzo Bertillo's in the house saying, stark contrast today between Insigne on and off the field. We lack creativity in attack without him and Zelu. It's pretty crazy how, however, when Insigne came off the field, then it's Petagna that started becoming a bit more of a playmaker, especially in the second half. It was him that was sort of like in that number 10 position. And we saw him distribute passes quite well. We saw him put in a few crosses. Napoli play very differently with and without Insigne, that's for sure. Obviously Insigne is a very creative player. On the other hand, I also think that Napoli can be a bit less predictable when Insigne is not playing. What do I mean by that? We all know that Insigne, when he gets the ball, what he's gonna try to do, he's gonna put it on his right foot and try to put in a cross, which it works a lot of the time. So I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but I'm just saying it's predictable. Whereas when you've got Petagna, Mertens and stuff, I think their game is a little less predictable. But yeah, we'll see how the next few games goes. It will be a miss, obviously, especially because we're low on numbers. Bartek Kazmarsirik. Sorry if I butchered your name. Dom, would you like to do a London Napoli fans link up? That is something that I think should be organized. You know what? That's a good idea. I think maybe in a few weeks' time, we got to choose the right game. It has to be the right sort of game, the right sort of time, and then maybe do a meetup in London, also COVID allowing, because that's the other thing that I think we need to make sure that we're quite careful on. ID Beats is saying, or Povis Escobar saying, against Fiorentina, I want to see all the primaveras on the field. We cannot afford playing Coppa Italia right now, and there's no point going for it with all the absences. And then ID Beats responds saying, maybe not extreme as you say, but I want at least 5-6 changes from today, especially in the right back, left wing, and center back position. So I think for sure Tuanzebe will play against Fiorentina. The fact that he got minutes today suggests that he's going to get a debut against Fiorentina. As for other players, I think Zanoli as well could play. I think, we've got to wait and see who else recovers from COVID between now and Thursday. I think, if players like Mairo Rui recover, then they're going to get a chance to play, because Gulam can't do 3 games in a row, in my opinion. And, there's a reason why he got subbed off today. But then you've got, also Fabian coming back. It's just a matter of seeing who's free and who's able to play physically, because we need to be careful with injuries. luckily, our game against Bologna also got postponed. So Fiorentina was supposed to be Wednesday. Now it's on a Thursday. We've got Bologna on a Monday now. In fact, let's go and see what the next games are. So we've got Fiorentina, Bologna, Salernitana. Then we've got a break, then Venezia, and then Inter on the right. You can see Inter's games. So they play Lazio later tonight, and then they've got quite a few games until they play us. The Atalanta-Inter one is going to be quite nice. The Inter-Juve one is a Super Cup final, so it's not the league. But yeah, this is the comparison in schedules. Fiorentina, then we got Bologna, then Salernitana. That's what we got to focus on. I mean, we need to get realistically 9 points out of Bologna, Salernitana, and Venezia before we go and play against Inter. We need to do our best to keep players like Mertens fit. But I think that, players like Osimhen could come back by the 23rd. So against Salernitana, we could have Osimhen back, which is a huge boost for Napoli. Are we looking to bring any more players in during this window, says SSC Napoli insiders? Well, I think that with Gulam showing that he can perform at left back, I think we don't need to buy a left back. We've got Axel Tuanzebe that came in to replace Manolas, and Juan Jesus has been playing really well. So we've got the center back position covered. Malquit showed that he can play at right back quite well. So I don't think we're going to go for that. In midfield, I think we're stacked. I think we have one of the best midfielders in Europe, honestly. Anguissa, Fabian, Demme, Lobotka. I think we're good there. And the other position that we were maybe kind of struggling with was that number 9, because we didn't really have Petagna performing too well at the start of the season. But now that Osimhen's coming back, Mertens is doing well, and Petagna is also, showing that he can do well. He played well against Milan, played well today, but also played well against Spezia. And the 45 minutes that he was on against Spezia, he did score a goal. It was offside, but I mean, he had presence in the box. So I think Petagna is going to stay. I honestly don't see Napoli spending any money in this winter transfer period unless some crazy opportunity comes by. There was an article that came out yesterday which showed the financial situation at Napoli, which I might bring into the video that I speak about Insigne. And essentially, we lost 60 million just in 1 year, and we're kind of running dry on money at the moment, or about to, if we keep that up. So I don't think Napoli is going to spend any money on anyone, to be honest. I think they'll save that for Lorenzo Insigne replacement in the summer. Fabrizio Landria. Hi Dom, fantastic goal by Petagna. We played very well despite the injuries. Good win. Ciao Fabrizio. Yeah, we played really well. The midfield made us play really well. Demme Lobotka controlled the game. And in fact, let's go to the analysis of the game. That's a good transition for me to go into the analysis of the game. So, since the very start, we were super attacking minded. We were completely inside of the Sampdoria half, and you can tell just by this picture how we were organized. We had Rahmani and Juan Jesus on the edge of the circle, and then we had Lobotka and Demme either side of them, the wingers pushing up, and then we had Elmas, Insigne, Mertens rotating between themselves in between the lines, and then Petagna up front. So that's how we were playing, and Mertens and Insigne and Elmas were really fluid in their positions, but we had so many players inside of Sampdoria's half. We had an opportunity for a penalty which wasn't given. Honestly, for me, this is a penalty. There's no there's no reason for a defender to have both his arms on the striker. Clearly, the striker isn't able to move much, and for me that's a foul. So I just cannot understand why that wasn't given, to be honest. Then Insigne got injured. We don't know the extent of his injury. I think that this could be a few weeks. This is the same type of injury that Fabian got. I think Fabian also had a groin injury, and he got that against Sassuolo, which was start of November. And, so it's been 2 months for Fabian. I hope it's not going to be 2 months for Insigne, but it could be. It could be 2 months. It could be 2 weeks. I don't know. I doubt it's going to be anything less than 2 or 3 weeks, though. And then, there was a lot of talk on Twitter about Petagna not being a movement striker. So I kind of joked about that on Twitter, and I said, I'm really jealous of people complaining about Petagna because they obviously don't remember Milik the lamppost, who was really a lamppost. Like, he did not move at all. Petagna, you can see here, is all over the field. I mean, he's not just someone that waits in the box. He's someone that comes towards the midfield to collect the ball, but is also able to go wide and, get past. Like, he's actually a good dribbler of the ball. And he grabs a free kick here. And Napoli ended up scoring from this, but Juan Jesus had his foot offside. Now, that's a good call from the ref, I guess. It's an offside. Obviously, it's obviously it's tight. I personally think that, if I were to change the offside rule, it would be that whatever part of the body you use to score, that part needs to be onside. So, like, for example, if Juan Jesus has his foot offside, but he doesn't use that foot to score, then, it should be a goal. But, that's just my random suggestion to how to improve football to make it so that we have more goals in football. But obviously those are not the rules, so I'm not complaining about it. I'm just suggesting, if I was FIFA, what I would do in the future. Because they are talking about improving the offside rule, about having a few more goals per games, and I think something like that could help. Daniel Bowen with the €10 donation. Thank you, Daniel, so much for your constant support of Napoli Talk. Appreciate it, man. Politano looked very good today. Do you feel Lozano and Politano can feed off each other now that the pressure of playing time is less prominent? Well, if Lozano goes on the left and Politano goes on the right, and they both play, that will be interesting. I do think that a lot of the times, though, they will still compete for a spot, because I think sometimes Elmas is going to go on the left. So, there's always going to be a bit of competition between Politano and Lozano. But I hope that, each player in attack becomes maybe a little less selfish. I still feel like sometimes some of these Napoli players can be a little selfish when it comes to maybe dribbling a little too much. They've got to find the balance, and I think they're missing Osimhen a lot. I think with Osimhen on the field, then the way that they play is also different. Like, we started scoring less goals ever since Osimhen got injured, so that's a big factor as well. Politano and Lozano both need to find their form. I think Politano's a bit closer to finding his form. He's been, today he had a pretty decent game. Lozano's got COVID. So, Lozano's going to be a bit on the back foot at the moment. And so he's going to be hoping that he can start over Elmas in left wing. And that's going to be his biggest target coming back now from COVID. Blue Line is saying, I've seen that Politano did well today, especially with the crosses. Yep. Shmuel M is saying, can we also mention the fact that Dom is a Giovanni Di Lorenzo lookalike? I've never ever come across me looking like Giovanni Di Lorenzo, like ever. So I don't know. I just can't see it, but Anthony Navarro saying, can't believe Napoli wearing those red jerseys because Insigne moved to Toronto. How dare, that's a pretty good joke. In honor of Toronto FC, they're wearing red. It is funny. I mean, that is twice now that they're doing it. I think they are taking the piss, honestly. They don't look like each other. Dom is the Giovanni Di Lorenzo of Napoli fans, though. In terms of consistency, yes. You guys can give me that. We might not look the same, but we play the same number of games. I mean, you know, he does the first 90 minutes and then I do the second 90 minutes. That's how we roll. See, there's no competition between myself and Giovanni Di Lorenzo. We you know, it's like tag, now it's your turn, you know. It's how it should be between Politano and Lozano. You know, they need to feed off each other. One person starts, the next person does the next half of the game. And yeah, I mean, I do think that honestly, like having the Politano-Lozano situation could elevate both their games, because you know they compete against each other, so they try to improve a bit more, try to prove to the manager that they deserve time ahead of the other. Vincenzo is saying Dom looks far more like a young De Rossi than Di Lorenzo. Young De Rossi. Still not heard that before. I've been told Jorginho once. Still don't know how accurate that is. Clearly my football abilities is higher than all these guys put together. But yeah, no, that's you know, I wish I had the football abilities of all those guys. You know, that would be something. Let's see. Dom, do you think that Anguissa has lost his starting to Lobotka yet? I think that's a tough question. I think, as I said, the Napoli midfield is so good. Even a player like Demme, right, who out of the four midfielders is number 4. So you've got Anguissa, Fabian, Lobotka, Demme. Like, Demme is a really, really good midfielder. And I know that there's some people that will like criticize Demme. They don't know what they're talking about. I don't know how you could criticize a player like Demme. His running into the space is the best out of all the midfielders that we have. You can see that, for example, in the counter-attack that we had against Juventus with Insigne and Mertens, and then Demme was the one that was following up, and then he got the free kick that Insigne shot wide. But, you know, that run from Demme, that was really good. He's really good at one-touch passes. He's really good at controlling the tempo of the game. He's really good at recovering the ball. I don't know how many ball recoveries he had today. Like, even a player like Demme, I think, is a fantastic player. So yeah, and they're all so different. Lobotka is just wow. Anguissa as well. Fabio, it's just everything. They're so different. They're such different players. And they've all got different qualities. That's the thing. None of them look like the other. Like, Fabian is really good at maybe longer passing, is really good at long range shooting. Anguissa's better at dribbling and just, you know, he has that physical presence. As I said, we talked about them. Lobotka is someone that can, with one movement, he can beat 3 players. You know, he just drops his shoulder, goes the other way, knows exactly where to position himself. He's a little Iniesta. They're just so different. Honestly, if I was Spalletti, I would approach every game and feel confident that whoever I put on the field is gonna do a good job. Honestly, and that's how I feel about most of the Napoli team. To be honest, like, you could put in any player on the field, and I feel like, yeah, you know what, that team can go out and do something. Even against Juventus, you know, we had so many players missing, and even now against Sampdoria, so many players missing, and not once did I think, oh, we're gonna struggle with this starting 11. I just thought, yeah, we might struggle down the line with the subs, but the starting 11 is still super, super competitive. Like, this Napoli team deserves a lot of credit. The people that set up this Napoli team, because it is one of the most competitive that we've had, probably the most competitive that we've had. And we've just been unlucky at the number of injuries that we've had. There's some criticism for Demme, though. He often loses his man when tracking back, but that is the only thing I observed. He's not really good at that. Otherwise, a top-notch midfielder, says ID Beats. I haven't noticed that, but I'll keep an eye out for that. I did do one of the... in one of last season's games, I did like a special on Demme where like I really observed him. I think it was a Europa League game. So if you guys want to learn more about Demme, I think go take a look at one of those Europa League games analysis that I did. But yeah, I really rate Demme, to be honest. Aaron M is saying, I love how all four of the midfielders have very different characteristics. Yeah, that's the thing about it. They're all very different and they're all very good. Unas definitely is in the starter convo. Unas is not in the starter combo in my opinion. I think that Unas has not shown more than Elmas. I think Unas is a fantastic player. I just think that sometimes he's a bit of steam and no fire, if that makes sense. Like, he's got great dribbling. He's got, he's a fantastic player. But I still wonder why so many teams had him and no one decided to really build a team around him or have him. So Napoli had him. We sent him out on loan. We sent him out on loan to Nice. Nice had him. They didn't want him back. We sent him out to Crotone. They didn't want him back. We sent him out to Cagliari. They didn't want him back. Like, there's clearly something there with regards to his consistency, which is a bit off. Obviously, then he's going to have like some crazy moments like that goal that he scored in the Europa League and some really good performances. But I feel like he's a player that for now has shown he can do a good 15 minutes, but maybe in the 90, not as much. So I think he still needs to mature a little bit. I think Elmas is slightly further ahead of him in terms of that. I'm not saying, he's a bad player. I'm just saying I think Elmas is slightly more ready than Unas if we're talking about potential left wing people. Roma Juve halftime. Yes, it's 1-1 between Roma and Juve. Not a bad result. Maybe I would have liked Roma to be ahead of Juventus, to be honest, just so that we gain even more points on 5th spot. Demme is the Callejon of midfielders. That's an interesting one from Vincenzo Bertillo. Demme, never gets tired. That's for sure. So, anyways, going on with the analysis of the game, we had a few shots on goal. We had Rahmani with the first shot on goal. We had then this chance from Politano, showing that he's getting his confidence back ever so slightly, trying his classic things. And one thing that I like about Politano is that he tries going both front post and far post with his shooting. It's not just like Insigne who goes far post. He switches it up, makes it a bit unpredictable. And that goes back to the whole unpredictability aspect of Insigne. Like with Insigne, you kind of always know what you're going to get. With other players, maybe a bit less. Not to say that Insigne's Tiragiro is not good. I'm saying just in terms of predictability, you know what he's going to do. But then again, if you master it, then even if people know what you're going to do, if you master it, it's still useful. But anyways, just a little side note. Don't want to criticize Insigne for no reason. Don't take it as a criticism of Insigne. Just commenting on something. This is the goal. So I like this frame here in the goal because you can see sort of how Napoli is set up. We've got a situation where Demme and Lobotka are both super marked by Sampdoria players. They're in the middle of Sampdoria players. It's really hard to get the ball, and that's where Rahmani takes over, and he becomes the Koulibaly of the first few months, where Koulibaly was taking the responsibility to set up the play whenever the midfielders were not in a position to do so. And so he goes further up the field, really to where the midfielders should be, and then he finds that vertical pass towards Mertens. Mertens does really well to pass the ball down the middle. I think actually he doesn't pass it to the guy I put in the arrow. I think he passes it to Elmas, which is further forward. So apologies for that mistake, but you get the point. He receives the ball, passes it along. There's a bit of a situation in the box that happens, and then Petagna does this. I mean, the most majestic bicycle kick I've ever seen in my life. And as I said at the start of the stream, once that happened, then my life is complete. This is really out of nowhere. Really out of nowhere. I didn't think he had it in him. I don't think anybody did. If you guys go on official Napoli Talk on the Instagram, you'll see the reaction that I had, which is the same that Spalletti had when he got sent off against Roma. Just an incredible goal, and he really, really deserves it because he had a fantastic game. And Petagna is a player that I think today really proved that he's a player that feeds off confidence, which is, it's a bad thing. You don't want to be a player that relies on confidence in order to put in a performance, but that's what it is with Petagna. After this goal, he became, he was already playing well, but he stepped it up even more, and I think that's maybe been his problem at Napoli. He's never really felt that confidence, and so he's not done too well. But I hope that this goal can give him the confidence to maybe start against Fiorentina in the Coppa Italia and still put in a really good performance, and I think he's now given us a few points this season. He scored against Genoa, scored the winner against Sampdoria. Now that's already 4 points from a player that a lot of people did not want on the team. So congrats to Petagna, to be honest. And I think he was influential against Milan, for example. And even though he's not on the score sheet, I think a lot of that performance is thanks to him. Vincenzo Bertino saying Petagna should try out for Cirque du Soleil. I would pay good amounts of money to watch Petagna at a circus. Honestly, I would pay a lot. I'm ashamed to say how much money I would pay to see that. So I'm not gonna give a value on it, but it would make my year, getting tickets to Cirque du Soleil where Petagna is playing. Tito Lofea saying our crossing still needs a bit of work. Lobotka over Modric. You know what? Yes, Lobotka is better than Modric at the moment for sure. Let's see. Lobotka can be the new Jorginho. Did Spalletti really say that? I'd have to check the press conference afterwards, which is coming afterwards. But I mean, look at this guy. Look at Petagna. This is a guy who's got 3 players on him, manages to grab a free kick. He's a player that puts his body on the line for us every single time. It's inspiring. And if we had 11 Petagnas on the field, there wouldn't be much movement, but goddamn, there would be a lot of effort on that field. Luckily, all the other players also put in effort. But one thing I will never say about Petagna is that he didn't put in effort. It's just always. Angela Torre, ciao Domenico, sono passata per un like, un abbraccio e forza Napoli sempre, al di là di qualsiasi risultato. Ciao Angela, grazie, forza Napoli sempre. So Forza Napoli, regardless of the result. You know, today we won, which is good. I hope that we can keep this streak up for the next few games. Michael Simia saying Scamacca to Napoli. That's just not gonna happen. Napoli won due to lack of Sampdoria quality. I disagree completely. This is a Sampdoria team who, you know, still had some of their best players on the field: Thorsby, Gabbiadini, Quagliarella. So I don't think it was because of a lack of quality in the Sampdoria team. I think that this was a Napoli team that controlled the midfield and did not allow Sampdoria to play. This is one of Napoli's best performances of the season. And we should have had more goals, you know? Like, take a look at this example here. Petagna gives the ball to Elmas, a beautiful pass after controlling the ball, protecting it with his body, gives it to Elmas. Elmas crosses it for... Wait, hold up. Did ADL tweet Scamacca? No way. Did ADL just buy Scamacca? What are you guys saying? I need to go on let's go on Twitter right now. No way did we buy Scamacca, guys. Hold up. Hold up. Let me go on ADL's Twitter. Don't prank me like this, guys. Don't prank me. No, he didn't do that. What are you guys saying? You guys, you guys trolled me, huh? Okay, I see how it is. I see. We don't need Scamacca. We've got Petagna. I was excited. I was excited, guys. Why would you do that to me? Why would you do that? That was out of nowhere as well, but that's why I kind of believed it. I was like, that's typical Napoli, just getting someone that's out of nowhere. That's sad. I don't know how I'm going to continue this. That's pretty sad. Anyways, as I was saying, Mertens almost scored, so, you know, for everyone thinking that Samp deserved more, I disagree. I think Napoli deserved way more. And, this was the heat map on the 60th minute. I mean, look at this domination by Napoli. Napoli all over the field, well into the Sampdoria half. And then look at Sampdoria. Their largest heat map source is in their own box. Barely made it into the other half of the field. And, that tells you sort of everything you need to know about this game, right? Half the amount of touches, just completely dominated Sampdoria here. What I really like about this heat map from Napoli, by the way, is also how wide we are. Like, we use the full field, which is a really good thing to see, that we're using the full length of the field, the full width of the field, in order to stretch out Sampdoria. It's always a good thing. This is one of the passes that Demme did for Mertens after after Petagna linked up with Mertens. He passed it on to Lobotka, and then this passed it on to Demme, and then Demme did this pass to Mertens, and it was an incredible pass. I mean, like, from this angle, you can really see how difficult it is to time it properly. He did perfectly. It went to Mertens, and Mertens unfortunately miscontrols it, and so nothing happened out of it. But it just shows that Demme is also a really good midfielder, very underrated in my opinion. And really that's it. Like, I kind of stopped analyzing the game after the 70th minute, just because I think that Napoli had it in the bag. There was really nothing else to say about it. And these are the player ratings, I think Petagna was by far the best player. He did everything well. Did crossing well. Politano had a chance, for example, with a Petagna cross. He linked up perfectly, put his body on the line, scored a fantastic goal. Like, sometimes I will say, like, oh, scoring a goal is not enough to give you an 8. But when you score that kind of goal, yeah, I mean, that itself deserves a 7 out of 10. And then, you do a performance like Petagna did. That's another point there. So an 8 for Petagna, one of the best performances of the season, I guess. Not many have scored an 8 so far this year. The midfield, I thought, was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. The way that they played. With the midfield, it's always annoying that I can never, like, when you analyze strikers, it's much easier because there's replays and I can grab the right screenshots, and it's a goal, so it's very easy to talk about a goal because it's as I said, there's replays, you can rewatch things, and it's very clear to see, like, oh, he scored a goal, and that's awesome. It's a very, like, black or white thing. With midfielders, though, I find it so annoying that sometimes they do something really, really nice, and then because I'm trying to analyze this live, I don't get, like, the photo of it, and then they never show that piece of action again because they're like, oh, it's just a little, like, drop of the shoulder or just a little, like, movement, and it's just like, oh, it's so annoying because it's beautiful to see what the midfielders are doing, and they need to show more replays of, like, the movements that the midfielders have and, like, random moments of the game. They shouldn't just show replays of goals, is what I'm trying to say, or replays of missed shots. I think they need to show every once in a while replays of the movements that players have on the field, and just give more credit to midfielders. Honestly, I think that's where it starts. I think if people if broadcasters start appreciating midfielders more, then we wouldn't always have strikers winning the Ballon d'Or. Not saying Lobotka deserves a Ballon d'Or, but come on, top 10 for sure. I am this close to, like, tattooing Lobotka on my forehead, guys. I'm very close. I'm becoming the biggest Lobotka fanboy. Yeah. No, I think they did really well. Insigne, I'm not giving him a rating because he went off in the 25th minute. Everyone else did decent. Everyone else was really good, slightly above average. I think Rahmani had a even more above average game, let's call it like that. I think the fact that he was the one that started the Napoli goal, or the one that took the first shot on target, really showed that not only was he good defensively, but also going forward, he was the one taking on the initiative. And then we had Tuanzebe with a debut. He did have one moment where he was called into action. He responded present, which is good. That's what you want to see. And I hope that that's a good start. That's going to be like the start of a good career at Napoli. Obviously, we only have him for the end of the season. But there's a lot of people in the comments talking about transfer stuff. I am gonna not trust any of you. You're all snakes. That's what you guys are. I will not trust a single one of you in that chat about transfer things. Not after you literally fooled me about Scamacca five minutes ago. It's gonna take you guys a little more time for me to regain trust on you guys with transfer stuff. Yeah, I'm not falling for that. I'm not falling for Dembele to Napoli, or Fabrizio Romano just tweeted we're on to Digne. Yeah, I'm not falling for that, to be honest. I have to go. I'll see it in Berardi to Napoli. I mean, look, the only problem I would have with Berardi to Napoli is that there would be another Domenico that would be more popular in Napoli than me, which I'm not keen on that. So Dom from Napoli talk to Napoli. Hopefully one day, I'll be the sporting director of Napoli. Who knows? And I'll take you guys all aboard and we'll have a board of 2,000 Napoli Talk fans to decide transfer stuff with. ID Beats saying he's lying. Aston Villa are pressing for Digne. That's what Fab Romano said. Giancarlo Costa talking about Paramount is brutal here in the States. Watching Serie A on Paramount Plus, worst streaming service. Mbappe to Napoli, says Giancarlo Costa. Yeah. You know what? At least like these names don't even get like don't even like, with Tottenham, right? Because they've got so much money. They said to Mbappe like, oh, like, are you gonna join Tottenham? And then he started laughing. At least we don't get laughed at by the actual players, because our name doesn't even appear next to them, which is it's a small win. IFTV say Paramount is the best. Yeah, because IFTV is sponsored by Paramount and they're on Paramount themselves. So ID Beats is saying, Napoli Talk, hope you remember who believed in Lobotka every time someone called him fat. Yes, that is true. ID Beats was one of those that believed in Lobotka the most. I always thought he was a good player, but like physically he was fat. Like, let's be real. Like, he was physically not. You could tell that he had talent, because I even saw him with Celta Vigo. I watched Barca Celta Vigo at the Camp Nou before we bought him, and I thought, you know what, that's a decent player. They were playing in a 5-man defense at that time. They're playing a 3-5-2 in that game. Funnily enough, that's the last hat-trick that Messi scored for Barcelona. I was there. But yeah, so I saw Lobotka like, a few months before joining Napoli, and I thought, yeah, he's a good player. And then when Napoli were interested in him, I thought to myself, you know what, like, that's not too bad. Like, he's decent. And then he came and he just got really, really fat. And yeah, it was just like, what's going on there? So yeah, Roma scored. Henrik Mkhitaryan on the 48th minute. I never know how to pronounce his name. I probably butchered it. But that's good. 2-1 for Roma. Love to see Juventus drop points. And, glad that Mourinho is beating Juve. That's always nice to see. Lord Lobo shares some characteristics with Verratti. That's true. Very similar players. It goes like Iniesta, Verratti, Lobotka. Lobotka is really where it's at. So it's at most Verratti that shares some characteristics with Lobotka. Let's be real. AG Wise is saying, if I moved to Naples, I think I'd gain a lot of weight as well. I spent the last few weeks in Naples. I think you guys might have noticed that, like, I had the Spezia video that was right after the game there, and I'm scared to weigh myself. I came back last week, and I'm really scared to. I weighed myself before leaving just because I was curious to see, like, okay, how much weight can I actually gain? Not doing it on purpose, just like the food's there. I can't refuse it once it's on the table, but I'm not gonna go looking for it either. So it's not like I'm trying my best to gain weight. But I was like, yeah, let's see. And yeah, I came back, and it's like, yeah, I'm not gonna weigh myself. Nah, I'm not gonna do that to myself. But the road to recovery is going to be a long one. It's 3 weeks that is going to take a few months to recover from. Gattuso ruined Lobotka in my books, says ID Beats. Yeah, I think, he's another player that requires confidence. It's a bit like Petagna. It's not a good thing. You shouldn't have your confidence be so fragile. I think you need to, like, believe in yourself regardless of the outside situation, and then perform at your top every single week, regardless of if the manager believes in you or not. Obviously the manager didn't believe in Lobotka, and Lobotka just sort of gave up, and that changed with Spalletti. But it's very risky putting your confidence in the hands of someone else, not just as a player, to be honest. So hopefully though, he's gained a bit of now of that confidence back. Well, I mean, I'm sure he has, and he can now just disassociate that from any manager in the future, because if for whatever reason we change manager in a few years and he's still playing for us, I don't want him to be like, oh no, Spalletti left, and get all sad. I want him to still believe in himself regardless of who the manager is. Gattuso played Lobo as a number 10 against Real Sociedad. Lobotka can play in any position. That's how good he is. EJ White saying the games feel a lot more quiet without hearing Lozano screaming, getting screamed at. Yeah, Lozano is... You know what? Lozano is... I wish he didn't have COVID, because right now we don't have Insigne, and it would have been nice to see Lozano get a few games, to be honest, because I don't know that kid, how to judge him. He had a good 6 months at one point, and not so well after and before that. So I just wish he had some continuity, and he's just not been able to get that, which is a bit annoying. Let's see. Any other comments? Napoli should go and get some talents from the Bundesliga. Reina, Mokuku, Nets. I don't know these guys. I'll be honest with you, I don't follow the Bundesliga as much. I follow La Liga, Premier League, and Serie A, but Bundesliga is something that I don't really follow. 3-1 for Roma, apparently. Lorenzo Pellegrini. At least one Lorenzo is having a good day today, which is good to see. What a finish from Pellegrini, apparently. That's always nice when Juventus lose, thanks to a really nice goal. And yeah, so that confirms... it doesn't confirm because there's still half an hour left to play, but it puts Roma in a really nice position. In fact, let's go and take a look at how we are doing in terms of the table. So Roma are winning. That needs to be updated. I mean, it says 2-1, but it should be 3-1. And they are on 35, as I said before. We're on 43, so it's a good gap to fifth spot. Atalanta are 2 points behind us, but they could jump us if they get a win. Inter have got a few games left to go, but the key thing is that top 4 is guaranteed. I think that's crucial. And then if we're still within these 9 points theoretically from Inter, because I know it says 3, but it's 9 theoretically if Inter win the next 2. If we're still 9 points from Inter and we beat them in February, then we start looking at the title. But I think for now, just to keep our expectations down, I think let's focus on Roma and Juventus. Interesting, Fiorentina on 32 points have 2 games in hand, so they could jump both of them. So, with Vlahovic in the team, and look at their form, they last 5 games, no losses. They could really do something, which is... we need to be careful about Fiorentina as well. Vlahovic started the season not amazing the first month, but since October has really, really come into form. I'm actually surprised Milan won so comfortably against Venezia today, 3-0. I thought Venezia at home would have done a little more, but that wasn't to be the case. This is the stats between Napoli and Samp. I mean, we doubled the amount of shots that they have, destroyed them with the amount of passes and possession, just unreal. Pass accuracy 90%. That just shows how much domination we had in the midfield. And 13 corners against 0. 13 corners against 0. And that is... I mean, someone said that... I can't remember who it was in the chat. Someone said that Sampdoria deserved more, or that Sampdoria... And someone else said that Sampdoria was gonna... were worrying us. I never felt like Sampdoria had anything going for them today. I really did not think that they were ever going to score. I was not nervous about this game one bit, to be honest. From the first 5 minutes, you could tell that Napoli was going to win, in my opinion. which doesn't happen a lot, to be honest, with Napoli games. But this one, I just felt like we were going to win it. I'll be completely honest there. Aaron M saying Fiorentina, I think, can make a run at top 4, especially if us or Atalanta make deep runs in Europa League, Coppa. I think it's in our best interest to let Fiorentina win in the Coppa Italia. That's another thing, right? Because if Fiorentina win in the Coppa Italia, they could have a nice run, could just give them something else to think about during the season. Even though, I really don't wish that we get dragged into that top 4 battle. But you never know, right? In any case, I think that we shouldn't focus on the Coppa Italia simply because of the injury situation that we have. Having said that, I mean, if we do win, I'll take that anyways. It's not like I'll refuse the win if we do get it. It's just I'm not going to be overly upset if we don't. I think the Europa League is something that I want to focus on much, much more, and the Scudetto as well. Let's see. Kevin Connor, Forza Napoli, good win today. Yeah, 100%, completely dominated. Blue Line is saying we should score from these corners. Yeah, I mean, the first corner of the game that we had was pathetic. We passed it all the way back to Ospina, which was not fun to see. Right, let's go to the final segment of today's live. Thank you guys for still being around and putting in your comments. Let's take a look at Spalletti's press conference. He spoke in the press conference and to DAZN. Ospina also spoke. Petagna also spoke. Juan Jesus. Juan Jesus joked around on social media saying, are they ever going to give me a goal? Because he's got 2 that have been disallowed now. So let's go with what Ospina had to say real quick before we go to Spalletti. Ospina says, important result. All the players who were available, did really well, and we tried really hard. It was a game that was really tough, and these 3 points are really important for us. You always have to be ready to give your maximum, like Rahmani and Juan Jesus are doing. They're going to be extremely useful for the whole second half of the season. I'm super happy with their performance. That's really nice from Ospina, because he's the one that gets the clean sheet, but it's also thanks to players like Rahmani and Juan Jesus. 10 games without conceding a goal. How difficult is it to remain concentrated when then you only have 1 shot on target to save? And he's saying these are the most difficult games. You have to remain focused because when you do then get a shot, you have to be ready to help the team. The team, was perfect today. So that's Ospina, and that's how it usually is with these games. When you dominate, you get games where then all of a sudden in the 60th, 70th minute, you get a shot against. And if the goalkeeper isn't concentrated, then you can see the goal. But Ospina has been really, really good this year. There's been very few times when he's made a mistake. And there's been times when maybe he could have saved it. But honestly, he's done many more miracles than mistakes this season. Andrea Petagna had also something to say to DAZN. He said, I'm really happy we had to get the 3 points to make sure that the draw in Turin wasn't wasted. The important thing is the result. We didn't win here in the last 3 games at home. When you don't play a lot, you lose a bit of confidence, which is what I was saying before. But then with the goal, it gives you a lot of confidence and everything changes, which is exactly what I was saying before, by the way, guys. So, you could really tell that the goal changed everything for him mentally. The goal is something that came to me by instinct. It's a good goal for the 3 points. Now Osimhen comes back, and I'll try to gain some space in the team. But there's also Dries, who's our champion, and so all 3 of us are going to be working really hard. And so, Petagna obviously has got a lot of competition in front of him, but I'm sure he'll get minutes. I'm sure, especially in the Europa League, for example. What did you tell Insigne? He's our captain. He needs to give us a hand in the last 6 months to get to the Champions League. So you see, Petagna's talking about getting to the Champions League. He's not talking about the Scudetto, which is also an interesting thing, about what the players are talking about now in the dressing room. IDBeats is saying, your lives have been getting refined with time. It's so smooth that you don't know the passage of time. Wow, that's a nice compliment. Thank you, man. I mean, we have been speaking for an hour and 10 minutes, and yeah, it doesn't feel like that, to be honest. So yeah, thank you for enjoying my lives, man. Let's get Zanoli or Costanzo call-up. That will be fun, says Shmuel M. Yeah, I think Zanoli will definitely play. I talked about it before. I'm not so sure about Costanzo, but for sure Tuanzebe will start against Fiorentina. Let's go to Spalletti's what Spalletti had to say on the zone. He's saying, I'm happy for the team. It's a very particular moment where at home we lost a lot of points, and we couldn't fail today. When you needed to have a strong reaction today, and the goal today was liberating. The game wasn't easy. Sampdoria was super defensive and compact. Finding the space was not easy today. We did a good game. We always constructed, and we had a discreet quality up until the edge of the box, creating some really good scenarios. We did really well recovering the ball as well. We were super aggressive in that, and Dem and Lobotka, in my opinion, were influential in that. Lorenzo Insigne got a lot of applauses, and Spalletti saying the Napoli fans know how to evaluate the behavior of a player. They had a lot of years to see what kind of a man Insigne is. For us, he's a very important player. Even today, we didn't have a lot of substitutions for the offensive department, and to have him here up until the end of the season can be fundamental for us. He continues to say that they ask him about Demme and how they kept saying that Demme was being told to go wide, and Spalletti says, when you play with two central midfielders, if the fullbacks are playing deep, then and they go in the middle of the field, then you need one of the central midfielders to go wide. Di Lorenzo was doing that, and then Elmas was going down the right as well. So in that case, Demme needed to move his position. Lobotka is Lobotka basically a starter now? Can we get rid of Lobotka at all? And Spalletti says, I agree. Lobotka is a fantastic player. He can be the Jorginho of Napoli. He basically splits the other team in two, which is exactly what I was trying to say before about how his movement is able to get past 3 or 4 players all at the same time, just by just a drop of the shoulder. Vincenzo Bertillo with the 13.99 Canadian dollars. Thanks for all you do, Dom. Thank you, Vincenzo, for supporting the channel, man, for showing up all the time. Thank you so much. A lot of these Canadians now will have Lorenzo Insigne out there in Toronto. There's a great club there, Napoli Club Toronto, which I'm sure is gonna make Insigne feel at home. And I'm happy for these guys that they're going to be able to see Insigne in person. Obviously it's not going to be with Napoli colors, but I think for them it's going to be special to see a player that played for Napoli. Maybe didn't get a chance to see him very much with Napoli, but then still get to see him play in the prime of his career. in their back door, in their backyard. I think that's going to be really good for them. So I'm happy for those guys out in Canada, such as Vincenzo, which is pretty cool. Pretty cool for them. Obviously, sad for us, but the other side of the coin. There's always the other side of the coin, I guess. Toronto FC game on me if you ever come, Dom. I need to go to that side of the world at some point. Who knows? Maybe in a few months. Definitely not in the winter. For those of you that follow me on Twitter, I posted yesterday the weather in Toronto versus the weather that we have in Europe right now, and it's massive. The difference is massive. The joke was 16 million couldn't do it for me. Maybe I exaggerated there, but minus 10 degrees is not fun. J Sonic Multiverse is saying Politano or not at the level. He is too personal, lacks too much shoot. Thank you at the Warrior Petagna for today. Yeah, Petagna was massive today. Politano did okay. Some good crosses, but yes, sometimes he can be a little too selfish and maybe needs to learn how to dialogue more with his teammates. I think he does need to improve that aspect of his game. Between June and October, you're safe, says Vincenzo. That's a very short time span. That's only 4 months. That's only 4 months out of 12. It's not amazing. Canada's beautiful, so I definitely need to go there. I've never been to North America, so that needs to change at some point very soon. Guys, that is... Spalletti has more to say. They ask him about why Petagna today, and he says, well, I needed to put someone that was fresh. I needed to put Elmas, and then, Petagna was fresh as well. Politano did really well too. We constructed really well. Everyone, gave a contribution, which is very nice to see. And Insigne, I am sure that will show what kind of man he is and what kind of player he is over the next few months. He's extremely serious and professional. IDB to say Nottingham winning against Arsenal. That is the most Arsenal news I've ever heard in my life. Obviously, Arsenal are losing against Nottingham. Jesus. That team can't catch a break. Just when it seems like things are going well, then they do something like that. Tuanzebe, he gets asked about Tuanzebe, and he's saying Axel is a very physical player. He can mark players very well. He's got the right level. He needs to understand some things about our championship, which is not easy for anyone. But having that option for us is great, and we rely on our substitutes. Juan Jesus and Rahmani have been exceptional, but they've always played. So Axel will have his time, on the field for Napoli. Lobotka instead is a player that everybody would like to have. He is not just a player that plays well, but he makes everyone around him play well. He is extremely good at avoiding the pressure, and he's very similar to Jorginho in that regards. He's really a top player who thinks 1,000 times with what he's gonna do, and then does everything correctly. What about the Coppa Italia, they ask him, and Spalletti says, we don't have a lot of players, but we'll try to go forward in that competition. When you wear the Napoli shirt, it's you have to be very serious about every competition that you have. So that's the situation with Napoli. Juventus have scored with Manuel Locatelli, who had his birthday not too long ago. What a season, what a year that Locatelli's had recently, huh? Moved to Juventus, not great, but probably got a lot of money out of that. But won the Euros, is doing well with his new team. Jokes aside, happy for a young Italian player to be doing so well. Domenico, how come you have more of an American accent? Oh man, it's such a long story. I've grown up in 7-8 different countries. I literally lost count. I'll go 7.5 because one of them was only for 3 months. But yeah, I guess when you live abroad, then I don't know. I guess your accent then is more based on TV shows and stuff like that. And I guess if you grew up watching Friends or whatever, then your accent's going to be more American. If I grew up watching more British TV, then it would have been more British. But the TV that I was watching was American stuff, so I guess that's why. Dom is like my wife. I don't know if I want to read the rest of that comment. Dom is like my wife. See, I'd much rather be compared to Di Lorenzo and Mertens and all these guys, as you were saying before, than a woman. But let's move on. I'm sure she's a lovely woman, so let's move on. Dom is like my wife. She lived all over the world except in North America, yet speaks with our accent. People who move a lot don't have a settled accent. Yeah, that's what it is. Also the Friends and stuff like that. I think they were mainly American and international, and Vincenzo's telling me to read the rest. Yeah, I know. I read it now. But just that statement there, just Dom is like my wife, is a very full stop as well, Johnny Di Lorenzo jersey I'm buying, says Anthony Navarro. Guys, Anthony, we need to put in, we need to keep you to that, because you love Di Lorenzo, and you need to post it on social media sometime, on Twitter or something, man, that you bought a Di Lorenzo shirt finally. I think all of the Napoli Talk community is gonna be super happy for you if you do that. Yeah, man, I hope your friends give that to you at some point, for your birthday. Aaron M is saying, I bought a Giovanni Di Lorenzo jersey when I was in Napoli, November 2019, wearing it now. Yeah, 2019 is quite early on. A lot of people didn't really like Di Lorenzo as much back then. He really grew in the hearts of Napoli fans in 2021. So to do that in 2019 is massive. Aaron M is saying 3-3. So because I'm not watching the game, I don't know. But Google still has to update. It still says 3-2. Now it says 3-3 with Dejan Kulusevski. Oh, Dejan. Juventus have scored 2 goals in 2 minutes. That's absolutely mad. Juve tie, goal called offside. So what's going on? Is it offside? Is it not offside? I have no idea because I'm not watching the game. Let's see. Yeah, that's mad. What's going on in that game? Sounds crazy, but I cannot watch it because I'm worried that my stream might lag or something like that if I put that on the side. So I cannot be doing that. Guys, however, I think that can wrap up. Today's video. I mean, we talked about everything. We went over the stats, the press conference, the match analysis, the schedule that Napoli have. If you did like this show, then smash that like button and subscribe if you haven't done that yet. I mean, if you haven't done it, why are you making bad decisions in your life? Just do it. Let's all go watch that Roma Juve game. It seems like a banger. So I'll end this here. And as always, guys, have a good weekend. Have a good week. See you next time. And Forza Napoli. Sempre.